Right, let's now bring you up to speed with issues regarding the strike here at the SABC. To get the latest, we have in the studio the two unions, that is the CWU and BEMAWU, representing the workers, as well as SABC spokesperson Kaizer Kganyago. Let me welcome gentlemen, Mr. Obrisha Balala from Communications Workers Union and Mr. Basson. Thank you very much for making time to come to talk to us. Let me start with Mr. Kganyago first. The strike, as we can see now, is befitting to be called a national strike. How have operations been affected?
As far as we are concerned, the report that we got from all over the country is the fact that in the morning there were 3 radio stations that did not go on air in terms of their current affairs. That is Tobela FM, that is Mungana Lonene and Ikwekwezi. That is between 6 and 7, and during that time they were able to play music and then fit in other issues in between. That is the report that we got. But as far as we are concerned, all the other stations reported just minimal disruptions.
Does it mean your contingency plan that you mentioned yesterday didn't work?
It means it has worked, because if you are talking about 3 stations that were affected only on the current affairs for 1 hour in the morning, but the rest of the day have been going on in television. As you might see, we are on air now on television as we are speaking. It's an indication that our plans might have worked. They might not have worked 100%, but they have worked.
Mr. Basson, we are on air now.
Yes, indeed. That does not mean that the SABC will remain on air. We strongly disagree with Mr. Kganyago. The biggest radio station in South Africa, Ukhozi FM, did not broadcast a single news bulletin since 6 o'clock this morning. Around about 12 o'clock, for the first time, they got a freelancer to come and read some news bulletins. So music were played. We received a report at some point in time that Ukhozi FM was completely off air and that they then went back on air. That is unconfirmed at this point in time. I can confirm that the news did not go out on Ukhozi FM. So clearly the strike is effective, but I don't think that this is what we're trying to do. We are not here to see if we can outsmart the SABC and take them completely off air. I think if that is what the SABC thinks that's busy happening, they are missing completely the issues. The issue is SABC workers are unhappy. They are prepared to go out on strike, not being paid, and they are saying we are unhappy because of the offer that has been made in light of the money that has been spent. And it is sad that the SABC does not see the bigger picture.
Let's hear, CWU, do you think you have made an impact today with the strike?
Look, we are very excited that the workers have responded to the call. What Kganyago is not raising in terms of their contingency plan is the fact that intimidation methods have been used, circulating information like SMSs and WhatsApp to workers, confusing them whether they are able to go on strike or not. It was part of their contingency plan, but we are dealing with that. We feel that as things are clarified, because this strike is a legal strike, it covers, and I must re-emphasize, all workers at SABC, be it a freelancer, non-union member, and union members. So members here should not be confused about that, who must go to a strike or not. And
just there, has there been any sort of intimidation against workers?
We are not aware of any intimidation. We have gotten information from the union side that there are some managers who are intimidating, which has not been proven as yet. We have said, and we are saying it here in the public platform, that we do not encourage anyone to be intimidated, any manager to intimidate anyone. Similarly, we have received information that there are people who are striking, who are intimidating the people who are not striking. Therefore, again, it is not proven, like I said with the previous one. Therefore, we are just generally saying no one is supposed to intimidate anyone. But maybe while I'm still saying this, the statement that Aubrey is saying that it was our strategy to intimidate people, it is not correct. Officially, I'm the one who officially makes statements to say there's no point where we have ever confused anyone. If you remember, we issued statements, the most recent one being on Monday, where we said the 2 unions are going on strike, and we appealed to everyone to say those that are going on strike must go on strike and mustn't intimidate those that are not going on strike, and those that are going to be here also must similarly not intimidate the others. Because from where we're sitting, the communication comes from there. There is no strategy like the one that he's talking about.
When I heard Mr. Dubuisson talking about this, I want us to get to the core issues here, because now debating the peripheries won't help. The core issue here is the 4.5%, and you are saying that you don't necessarily want to keep the SABC off air. But then there are implications if this strike goes on, financial and broadcast-wise. What do you say about how the SABC would really have a collateral effect on this matter?
Well, maybe there is something that we maybe they need to establish quickly while it's been said. If the SABC is saying, and Mr. Kganyago here is saying that they're not intimidating people to strike, can they then say on air here that freelancers are allowed to go on strike and there will be no consequences for them?
But some freelancers are saying that it's their prerogative. They have a choice because they're not unionized.
We understand that, but there are freelancers that wants to go on strike that's been reporting to us today that they've been threatened by the SABC here on this floor, that if you dare to go on strike, we will end your contract. So the SABC must then come clean and say, every freelancer that's working for the SABC currently, they are allowed to go on strike and there will be no other consequences than no work, no pay.
Okay, your point has been noted, but then I asked you a question about the implications of the strike. I'll get back to you on the collateral damage that may come out of the strike.
Yeah.
Just your response on that.
Well, obviously, we don't want any damage to the SABC. Equally, we don't want employees of the SABC to remain behind when everything else goes up and they have to pay more. Medical aid is going up, pension fund contributions, all of that. So our proposal is and still is, or was and still is, that the SABC should come to the table and be serious. The 4.5% is backdated for 6 months. It's a 2.25% increase over a period of 1 year. And in no one's books that can be a reasonable offer from the SABC.
Mr. Kganyago, briefly, how will this strike affect the SABC?
Let me start by saying, as SABC, we have always said that we understand the demands of the unions and especially of their members. The reality of the matter, and like I said for a long time, and even before we started negotiating, it was very clear that the SABC is in a financial crisis. And that is the reason why we have been asking for a government guarantee. Therefore, we find ourselves in this situation where we say, in as much as we understand the needs of the employees, we cannot afford it now as we are speaking to you. And that is why what the offer is based on. Therefore, if the strike continues and it affects the operations of the organization, therefore it will affect the revenue generation of the organization and it will put us in a worse off situation than we are now.
Talking about the problems at the SABC which are financial, let's talk about the bailout process. Did the SABC board not price in the wage negotiations when they were requesting a bailout from Treasury?
You see, and this has always been the issue. We are looking at the organization holistically when we are applying for a government guarantee. Therefore, it's not an issue of saying we should put this line item or this line item. We look at the operations of the organization, and we are not at liberty at this stage to say what is in the document that has gone to Treasury. But you will remember that it was put in, and then it was even revised when the new board came in.
But is the bailout process comprehensive if it doesn't cater for the staff needs, which is a salary increase, whereas other fundamentals are taken care of?
You cannot just pinpoint one issue when you deal with. That's why I'm saying we look at the operation. Like an example, an SABC requires at least about 600 or so, 600 to 650 million rand a month to function. But that is the operational budget. It includes the salaries of people. Therefore, we need to understand that when we are requesting, we're going to go to the bank to ask for the money. Because, again, people keep on saying we're asking for a bailout. It's not. We are saying to government, give us a guarantee so that we go to the bank and request the money. And when the money is here, we then use it for operational purposes of the organization.
Unless you were shaking your head.
No, that's absolutely not correct. We were categorically told by a delegation of the board, it was a pertinent question that we asked them when we were negotiating, have you included a salary increase for SABC staff members in your submission to Treasury? And the answer was no. So that is specified. If Mr. Kganyago does not know that, then I think he must go back and look at that. But we were told categorically that we have not included a salary increase. And I think that is what a lot of unhappiness is about.
Is that not the impression that has been created, Mr. Kganyago, that the issue of salary increases for the year 2017, 2018 was not catered for?
But that is the decision. You see, that's exactly the issue. When we're dealing with operations of the organization, they are inclusive of everything. And the money that we would have to go and get from the bank will be augmenting what we are getting on a day-to-day basis here in the organization. Therefore, we need to understand that at this present moment, we could not have indicated, because the decision to increase salaries, the mandate, doesn't come from government. It comes from the board, looking at the financial situation.
Isn't it suspicious to the unions that when you offer them 0% and then in turn offer them 4.5%, and then they are saying, okay, let's agree on CPIX?
No, the issue here, it can't be suspicious. We are saying, here are the books, we open them for you, and say, we don't have the money. And like I said, this issue of us not having money did not start when the negotiations started. By the time the negotiations started, we had already gone out publicly to say we're in a financial crisis. Therefore, we've opened the books. But because I said earlier on that we understand the plight of the workers, in as much as we are looking at our financial situation, we have also then have to understand their plight. Therefore, that is why we're able, the board was able to move.
Let me ask CWU, do you understand the plight of the SABC? When the SABC opens the book and say, we don't have money.
Well, it's surprising that they're telling us that they've opened a book. It never happened in the negotiations. But to go further, we don't believe what SABC is saying.
So are you saying you don't know the figures? You don't know the balance sheet of the SABC?
I want to express this. The interim board, when it came in, it said it's not going to get any salary from SABC up until they offload the SABC. Guess what? We found out at the end of the tale that, in fact, they paid themselves 3.9 million. Each meeting actually cost them, each person, 8,000 rand, which is more than whatever board previous have ever earned. So on the basis of that, how do you justify the executive getting so much and telling workers that they must tighten their belts? They even defended we talked about this yesterday, the commission that was given to the current acting CEO. They saying on the basis of last year's financial term to say that they've rewarded a bonus on a company that is pleading poverty. How do you do that to reward a person on the person that...
Let me hear your response on that. Mr. Kganyago, actually this has angered the workers, the issue of the interim board getting over 3 million and the acting CEO getting a bonus. I know that you explained this yesterday, but actually the fact of the matter is that this doesn't augur well with the workers.
I will explain it again for people to understand, because using it as an excuse for this will not help us at this stage. What has happened here is when the board, interim board, is here for 6 months. When they arrived here, they found a crisis in the organization. And the priority that they put was on to the salaries of the workers, because they said, with the little money that we have, we prioritize payment of salaries on a month-to-month, because at the time, there were even threats that people might not even get salaries because of the financial situation. They said, we will defer our payments as the board. And then we expected at the time that the government guarantee will happen before the 6 months of their term happened. But when the 6 months term ended, it was now the contract between us and them for the interim board was over. Therefore, we needed to then pay them what was due to them. And we paid it to them on a 50% like we were doing.
But knowingly that the SABC is in a precarious financial situation.
But that is what is it's due to them. The same way as employees every month were given salaries because it is what was due to them. There was no increase.
But inadvertently, employees would expect that it's a foregone conclusion that the following year we have to negotiate for a salary increase and meet each other halfway. But at the beginning, the offer was zero.
Yeah, but let us go back to this thing. Are you basically saying that they should have worked for 6 months and not be given what was due to them? Because from where we're sitting here is when somebody out of the goodness of their goodwill say we are deferring payment, deferring means we will get it at a later stage. And then the 6 months ended, which is the contract ended, because now when they came back, there are no more interim board members. They've got a new contract that starts with them being in the board.
I'm about to close now.
Yes.
where will the money come from? Where do you expect the SABC to get the money from?
Well, firstly, SABC is a state-owned entity, and its mandate is to deliver its service to the poor and the most vulnerable sectors of the society. So it should be part and parcel of the government's budget. And the primary or the fundamental core capital of any other institution is a human capital. So we believe that it should get.
The cash flow of the SABC has already dramatically increased. I was on an interview earlier today where the head of television news, Mr. Makatias, has said that the SABC is actually running no longer in a deficit. That's the effect of his words. There is money. If there's money to pay an interim board, that money. If there's money to put in the state-of-the-art access systems at the SABC, if there's money to hire freelancers in to come and do the work of people that is on strike, there must be money.
Okay, my time is almost up now. Mr. Kganyago, from your side, 4.5%, they want 10%. Who is going to budge?
And the unfortunate part is we are not going to be doing negotiations here on this program. And we have said it before, negotiations will always happen on the negotiation table. If ultimately we go back, whatever happens on the negotiation table will happen. But at the moment, the mandate that we have is 4.5%.
How long should we expect the strike to go on?
Well, ultimately, employees must decide how long are they prepared to go on strike. At this point in time, they are saying that they're not going to go back unless there is at least a substantial movement from the SABC side. And that is what
I know
we're
that
expecting.
you're negotiating here, but are you guys going to meet each other halfway?
Well, I think so. And on top of that, I don't think that...
Let me hear CWU.
Of course, we moved from 15% to 10%. They've moved from 0 to 4.5. I'm sure a compromise can be made. If they come up with something sensible, not this 2.2.
Well, we were talking 6% at some point.
Shall we base it on CPIX?
Like I said to you, the mandate we have is 4.5%, and negotiations will happen on the negotiation tables. They know what I'm talking about.
All right, gentlemen. So I take it that we still have a stalemate, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Kganyago, thank you very much. Mr. Bison, and as well as Mr. Chabalala. And that has been your discussion on the latest on the strike here at the SABC. And we are going to take a